What's going on, everybody? My name is Zephian Wade, and I am here to break down the 2024 NBA Finals. And what a series we have going on between these two teams. I'm very excited to break this down. But before we even break it down, let us take a moment. Please let us take a moment and just listen to this beautiful NBA theme song. Doesn't it just make you think about the old NBA? By the way, I want you guys to think about this. ESPN got rid of this theme song and changed it. I don't know why. They need to bring it back, because this reminds me of the old NBA, and this is exactly what I mean. What else do you want? I got this theme song playing. I got the 2015 Cavs and Warriors series going over here. It's just, I need the essence of the old NBA to come about. You know, when you hear this song, you think about the big-time stars in the league about to go head-to-head, and that's exactly what we're about to get in this NBA Finals series. So, just give me a moment. Just listen to this. I'm going to give it a little moment. Oh, I'm gonna get sad just thinking about it. I gotta turn it off. I'm gonna get sad. Okay. I gotta get into the video. This video is gonna make me feel 10 times better, and it's gonna make you feel better. I hope everybody is having a great day. Happy Men's Mental Health Month. And I'm just gonna say, my name is Zephian Wade. One of the things that I just want to say first off is I'm very passionate about what I do. I love sports. I would love to work in sports. I love to work in sports media. So this is just for me to just practice my craft, continue to get better. So, people out there that's watching this, please continue to tell me what I need to work on. Give me criticism. I want to get better at this as we go on and on. I'm just getting started. So, one of my biggest things is I love to talk sports. So, this is what I'm here for. My goal of this video is to not only have a great time and make you guys laugh, but also be able to break down the NBA Finals for you, I want to give you guys insight, and I want to give you guys information so you guys can come up with your own takes and opinions so you can talk to people. I want to hear everybody's takes. I want to hear the hot takes, the takes that make you go, and the takes that make you go, what? I want to hear it all. I want to hear everybody's take on different things. I want to hear the hot, like I said, I want to hear the hot takes. I just want to hear all kinds of takes. I want to hear all the opinions, whether if you're wrong, right, it don't matter. I just want to hear it. I like debating. So, anytime you want to debate with me, you can obviously do that. But here we go. Let's get right into it. I'm going to start off by saying this. What a finals we have going on. This is like a breath of fresh air going into this NBA Finals, considering the matchup. You got a well-rounded team in the Boston Celtics, one of the best team in the NBA record-wise, and Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown going up against one of the best backcourts in the NBA in the Dallas Mavericks and Kyrie Irving and Luka. So, I'm really excited about this matchup, and I just can't wait to get for the finals to start. The finals is at 7:30 on ABC. Be in your seats. Be ready. It's Thursday night, 7:30. Be ready. It's going to be a great matchup. I promise you it's going to be really good. So one of the main things that basically what this is I'm just going to give you, like I said, I'm going to give you an overview. I'm going to give you an overview of both teams. I'm going to start off with the Boston Celtics, and then I'm going to go to the Dallas Mavericks. I'm not going to do my predictions just yet. I'm going to give you my predictions tomorrow. So, like I said, this video, the point of this video is for you all to get your own insight. So tomorrow, I want to hear everybody's predictions. I want to hear everybody's takes. I just want to hear it all. And I'm going to give you mine tomorrow. But here we go. Let's get right into the video. So a brief overview. Like I said, this matchup is between the Boston Celtics, the Eastern Conference champion, who finished 64-18, versus the Dallas Mavericks, who finished 50-32 and won the West. They beat the Minnesota Timberwolves 4-1. The Celtics swept the Indiana Pacers. So one of the main things that I really wanted to talk about in these finals, about these finals, was the different headlines. There's so many different headlines in this finals. Obviously, one of the first ones that pops out to me is you got two, in my opinion, top 5 players going head-to-head. Jason Tatum, Luka Doncic. I got Luka at 3. I got Jason Tatum at 5. That's how I've always felt, that they've always been there in that same spot. And so one of the main things about this is whoever wins these finals, if Jason Tatum and the Celtics are able to win these finals, what does this mean for him? Well, basically, he could go up in the ranking. He could go up. He could move to 3, 4, maybe 2. It's debatable, but maybe even 2. I'm not sure about 1. I feel like Jokic or Giannis have that 1 spot kind of already solidified. But Tatum could move up very high in the rankings. What does it mean for Luka? Well, Luka's already, I think, in my opinion, a top 3 player in the league. So if Luka wins this and wins Finals MVP, it might be time to start having some uncomfortable conversations about Luka. Not a lot of people may want to do it, but I will. I'll do it. If Luka wins Finals MVP and the finals, it's time to have that conversation. It's time to put Luka in a title of his own with those elite guys. And he's already elite, but even more elite, basically. And then another headline is, can Kyrie win without LeBron James? So, I mean, obviously, another big storyline is Kyrie Irving in this. You know, he's going up against his former team in the Boston Celtics. There was a lot of controversy when he was in Boston. There was a lot of controversy when he was in Brooklyn. You know, so, and people will say that Kyrie Irving is a controversial guy. But I feel like if he wins this NBA Finals, and especially if he wins Final MVP, all of that is put to bed. What Steph Curry do? Put to bed. It's going to sleep. But you got to put it to sleep. No more Kyrie Irving is a cancer in the locker room. None of that. If he wins Finals, especially if he wins the Finals MVP. So that's another headline I think we need to really look at. And I mean, one of the main storylines also, lastly, is the Celtics have never been able to get over the hump. They've had the team to do it, but they've never been able to get over the hump. Obviously, they had, coming into this finals, they should feel really confident considering that they do have experience from the 2022 finals. But listen. They played really bad in that final series against a Warriors team that I thought they should have beat. And I think a lot of Celtics fans will agree with me. They were the better team in that series, in my opinion. So how will they play in this series, and how will they use that experience to better themselves in these finals? So let's get right into it. I'm going to break down the Boston Celtics first. I'll be right back. Let's get into it, baby. Hello, everybody. I'm back. Let's get right into it. I'm going to break down the Boston Celtics. It's time for the overview. I'm very excited to do this. So let's get started with the Celtics. The Boston Celtics, one of the best teams in the NBA right off the bat. Number one, they had the best record in the NBA, 64-18. Unbelievable record right there. It's just really hard to really win 60. I mean, to win 60 games in the NBA season, I don't think a lot of people know how difficult that really is. Really, winning 40 to 50 is really difficult. So to win 60, you're pretty elite if you win 60 games. They're led by second-year head coach Joe Mazzulla. And obviously, they're led by their two young superstars in Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown. So, you know, like I said, the Boston Celtics have been very impressive. Every time I watch this team, I get impressed, series by series. And listen, I'm saying that I want everybody to know I am a diehard Laker fan. I'm a Laker for life. So the fact that I am sitting here talking about the Boston Celtics is hurting my soul, and so I still have to do it because, you know, I love talking hoops. So I'll do it for the sake of the video, but, you know, it's all about the Lake Show at the end of the day. The Lakers are going to win the title next year. Maybe I'm being delusional, but again, let me get back to the Celtics. So, you know, like I said, the Celtics have been one of the best teams this year. They have a 12-2 record in these playoffs. You know, they first round, they played the Miami Heat. They gentlemen swept the Miami Heat. They gentlemen swept the Cleveland Cavaliers. So if for anybody that doesn't know, a gentleman sweep is 4-1. A usual sweep is 4-0. But a gentleman sweep is 4-1. That just to get that out the way, so anybody doesn't get confused with what I mean when I say gentleman sweep. And then they swept the Indiana Pacers. They only have 2 losses in the playoffs. The only other team that I can think about that did something like that is either those KD Warrior teams or the 2000-2001 Lakers that went 15-1. But we're not going to talk about that team right now because I'm going to get too excited. But you know, the Boston Celtics have been really, really impressive on both ends of the floor. I really do think that nobody really talks. I mean, granted, obviously they're great offensively. They finished first in the NBA in offensive rating, which is something I feel like it's really hard to do nowadays in the NBA. And then they finished that while also maintaining and finishing third in the NBA in defensive rating as well. So not only are they one of the best offensive teams in the NBA, they're also one of the best defensive teams, and they're one of the highest scoring offensive teams in the NBA while being able to play elite defense and hold their team to a low shot percentage and everything like that. So the Celtics are a very well-rounded team. I have to give them credit at the end of the day. One of the best well-rounded teams in the NBA. They're postseason scoring leaders. You know, one thing about the postseason in the NBA and the playoffs is we have guys that we call playoff risers, and we have guys that go down in the playoffs. You know, their play in the playoffs just goes down. Well, that's not the case really for any of the Celtics. Jason Tatum has been playing well. Jaylen Brown, Derek White, Drew Holiday, Al Horford, Peyton Pritchard. There's so many guys. The Celtics just have so much depth everywhere. And so, but their three scoring leaders throughout these playoffs are Jason Tatum averaging 26 a game, Jaylen Brown averaging 25 a game, and Derek White averaging 17.8 a game. Now, like I said, when you think about this Boston Celtics team, everybody wants to give credit to their two superstars, and rightfully so. They deserve that credit. They're two of the top players in the league, in my opinion. But one of the biggest things that one of the two biggest guys that I think that don't get enough credit on that Celtics team is Derek White and Jrue Holiday. And they're going to be vital in this playoff series because not only are they great defenders, they also produce a lot on the offensive end as well. So, I think Jrue Holiday is an all-league defender, and so is Derek White. So, obviously, they're going to be going up against Luka and Kyrie, who are all-league guys on the offensive end as well. So, what is that matchup going to be like? Luka's 6'9", so it may be a little bit of a mismatch for Jrue Holiday and Derek White, but I feel like, they're good enough defenders to figure that out and figure out what they need to do to win that matchup and make Luka work. I don't think they're going to be able to contain Luka Doncic and Kyrie, but they can at least make them work for their buckets and not give them easy stuff, the easy three, the easy layups and everything like that. So that's one thing I did look at and think about as well and wanted to talk about. Another person that I feel like could be huge is obviously with Porzingis being possibly out. I am hearing now that Porzingis is going to most likely play barring setback. So that's huge for the Celtics because they get one of their big man back, 7'3". He can spread the floor. Porzingis, that's huge for the Boston Celtics because, Porzingis is a great player. I was worried because if Al Horford was in that starting five for the Celtics, I wonder how that was going to work. Al Horford's been playing well. I know recently he had a game where he hit like 7 threes in game 3, I'm pretty sure, of the Indiana series. And so, Al Horford's been huge for them. So, him with Porzingis coming back and Al Horford coming off the bench, they have a veteran presence in him, and he can create his own shot. Same thing for Derek White, Same thing for Jrue Holiday. Those guys can create their own shot and do their own thing. So that's exactly what the Boston Celtics need. And next, I'm gonna give you keys to the game keys to the series, that'll help the Celtics win. So the first key, and it's pretty obvious what has to happen. And it's not rocket science here. Basketball is a very simple game if you break it down. It's a very simple game. Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum have to up their play in the finals. Like I said, these two are two of the best players in the league. They're a great duo. They're probably a top 5 duo in the league. But the only problem is when they get to the big stage, they go from being playoff risers to playoff downers. They just plummet, and it's bad. They don't need to plummet. Because we saw it in 2022 against Golden State when Jason Tatum had an unbelievable run to that finals. I don't think a lot of people understand how good his run was in 2022. But then he got to Golden State, and Andrew Wiggins locked him down. He had him in jail. Oh my God, it was horrible. I watched it. Andrew Wiggins had him in jail. And so now the difference is, granted, I really don't think Dallas has anybody that can do that to Jason Tatum that can lock him down. Jason Tatum's going to get his regardless. He's a top 5 player in the league for a reason. And then Jaylen Brown. Listen, Jaylen Brown, he's played very well. He won Eastern Conference Finals MVP, rightfully so. Great performance. They need that again. They need that and then some if they want to win this game. Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, they have to step up. But another thing that I really wanted to point out in this was also that I was watching a game and I heard a quote from J.J. Redick, future Laker coach J.J. Redick. It's not confirmed, but it's probably going to happen. I don't know how to feel about that. That's another conversation for another day. Excuse me. Now, I heard a quote from J.J. Redick, and he said, you on your team, you have your Batmans and you have your Robins. Basically, those are your star guys. In this case, Jason Tatum would be Batman, Jaylen Brown would be Robin. It really just depends on how you want to do it, and that's how I feel. But he said you need your you need your Alfreds to step up. You need your guys who are kind of like, now I'm not going to say that don't get up, you need your guys that really don't get paid much attention to and don't get a lot of credit to step up. So that's guys like Derek White, Jrue Holiday, Al Horford, Peyton Pritchard, Hauser, Kornet. There's so many guys on this Celtics team. They have so much depth that can make plays and play big minutes and get some buckets. They got to be able to defend and get some buckets. That bench for the Celtics has to come out, be able to give guys like Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown breathers on the bench so they can be fresh, so they can come out and dominate and ball. That's really what they need. So that was the first key I had. The next key is I'm really excited to see how this Celtics defense, I mean, granted, their defense is phenomenal, but I'm really curious to see how they go against Luka and Kyrie. You know, Luka and Kyrie is one of the best duos in the NBA and probably the best backcourt in the NBA. So I'm very excited to see how they go up against each other and what's going to happen. You know, is Mazzulla going to put Jason Tatum on Luka? Or, you know, how are they going to switch it up? Are they going to put Jaylen Brown on him? How are they going to switch things up? Are they going to send different coverages at him? And what, like, I'm just really curious about how the Celtics do this with their defense. I'm extremely excited to see how they will do. You know, how will guys like Kristaps Porzingis and Al Horford adjust to the pick and roll? One of the things that I saw that was really helping Dallas in their last series against Minnesota was the pick and roll. They were eating Rudy Gobert alive with the pick and roll. I mean, just eating them for lunch. It was really, 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 really bad. And so how will the Celtics adjust to that? I think the Celtics will adjust pretty fine to that. But I mean, just how, like, how is Porzingis going to be? How is Al Horford going to be? You know, when you get that mismatch between Al Horford and Luka, what's that going to be like? Are you going to double Luka, leave somebody else open? So there's just different things that I have to see to be convinced in the Celtics going into this finals. And then lastly, you live by the three, you die by the three. And so what I mean by that is the Boston Celtics led the league in three-point attempts and makes. And they also had the second best three-point percentage in the NBA. So the Boston Celtics as a whole shoot 40 attempts a game from three. When they've made at least 14 of those, they're 9-0 in the playoffs. Undefeated. So are they going to be taking a lot of those attempts? Now, what happens if those attempts don't go down? How will they adjust? What will they do to get better? And what will they like? How will they adjust? And if they are, I mean, obviously, if they're hitting, you just got to keep shooting them. Just keep shooting them. I'm pretty confident in their three-point shooting. But I just don't want the Celtics to rely heavily on the three because, like I said, I've seen examples and watched games where teams will rely on the three too much. Cough, cough, the Lakers. They will try and rely on the three too much, and it ends up hurting them because you're not making those shots. You get behind, and it's even worse when you get behind because if you get behind and you're shooting threes and you're not making them, then it's really going to get bad. Because then you're going to start forcing more shots. You're not getting any twos. So while I think the Celtics can rely on the three, if it doesn't fall, how are they going to adjust? What are they going to do to get better? So those are my three keys for the Boston Celtics to win banner number 18. And yes, that's all I have for you. Let's get right back into the Dallas Mavericks. I'll be right back to break down the Dallas Mavericks. Let's go. Hello, everybody. I am back, and I am here to break down the Dallas Mavericks, Western Conference champions. And I'm just going to say this. This is a shocker for me. I'm going to be so real. If you would have told me that the Dallas Mavericks were going to the NBA Finals, I wouldn't have believed you. I would have kind of believed you, but it wouldn't have been like, whoa, really? Like, you know, it just wouldn't have made sense to me. I would have expected teams like the Thunder, Denver. And I'm not going to lie. I was counting out Dallas. I will sit here and say it. One of the things that you guys will notice about me is if I am wrong about something or a take, I will take accountability. I feel like a lot of sports announcers, when they're wrong about a take, they don't feel the need to talk about it. If you're wrong about a take and you said that take confidently and you're wrong, own up to it. Just take accountability. That's the beauty of it. You can make more takes. So I didn't think the Mavs would make it past. I'll say I thought they were going to get swept by Minnesota in the Western Conference Finals. But boy, did they prove me wrong. Jason Kidd, their head coach, has them ready to play. He has them playing defense, which was a main concern for them. And granted, this Mavs team was great. They won 50 games this year. But the thing is, they won 50 games and finished at 5th in the West. I just want people to understand 50 games, usually you can get to a top 3 seed with 50 games. They won 50 games and they were the 5th seed. That should tell you how strong the West the Western Conference is. And the fact that the Mavs made it out of that to get to the finals is great and just pretty insane to me. But the Mavs finished top 10 in offensive rating and 20th in defensive rating. Not as high as the Celtics, but I'm going to get into that and elaborate more on that. Their play in the playoffs has, like I said, there's people that play down in the playoffs, and there's playoff risers. Well, the whole Mavs team is playoff risers. Every single person on this Mavs team has gotten better in the playoffs. And one of the biggest things that the Mavs did this season was acquiring P.J. Washington at the trade deadline. Once they got P.J. Washington, it gave them not only another defender, but he's a perfect 3-and-D type of guy, especially with a guy like Luka who can see the floor very well. He's a great assist man. He's probably top 10, top 5 in assists. So, with a guy like Luka and a guy like P.J. Washington ready to spot up and shoot, it's exactly what they needed. And he can play great defense too and rebound. He's kind of another big man. So there's so many opportunities they had getting P.J. Washington, and it really helped them. So their record in the playoffs was 12-5, and I just want y'all to. It's not like 12-5 may sound like compared to Boston's obviously 12-2, 12-5 better records, but I just want y'all to hear me out, okay? They beat the Clippers, a pretty star-studded Clippers team. They had Paul George, they had James Harden, they had Russ, so they beat a pretty good team there. But their next competition was they beat the #1 overall seed in the West, the Thunder, a very good young Thunder team who I'm so excited about in the future. Who they were led by my MVP vote, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. They had Jalen Williams, Chet. I mean, they're a star-studded team, young star-studded team, and the Mavs beat them in 6. And it was like the Mavs just. I'm not gonna say it was like the Mavs looked completely better than them, but the Mavs just had their number. I feel like the Mavs figured them out, and so they took care of business. And then they played the Minnesota Timberwolves, who I know a couple weeks ago. I know if there's a person there's not a lot of people that are watching this video that can tell me that they didn't think that Minnesota was going to win it all. I thought Minnesota, after they beat Denver, I thought they were going to either gentleman sweep or sweep Dallas. Dallas gentleman swept them. So that's the beauty of the NBA. I mean, that's the beauty of the NBA. You never know what's going to happen, especially in the West, because the West is a gauntlet. Anybody can win in the West. There's so many good teams in the West. So for them to gentleman sweep a team like Minnesota, who, by the way, Minnesota's the #1 defensive rated team. I want people to know that. That's why I think this matchup is pretty evenly matched because, obviously the defenses are different. Boston is going to play Dallas differently than how Minnesota played them. But, Minnesota, they took the defending champs to 7 games and beat them. Did you see those first 2 games between Minnesota and Denver? How they locked up Jamal Murray, made them work on defense? Even in the 4th quarter of Game 7, Game 6, there's so many, Minnesota obviously is one of the best defending teams. And Luka and Kyrie and that Mavs team looked at them like they were chopped cheese. Chopped cheese. Y'all are going to hear that one. If I say chopped cheese, that means something is bad. I'm just going to let you know. That I'm going to tell you some of my vocabulary. If I say something is chopped cheese, that means it ain't working. It's not working. So I've been rambling about Dallas. Let's go ahead and get into the overview for them. So their top 3 postseason scorers are Luka Doncic, obviously. He's leading their team in scoring. Luka actually led them in every single statistical category for these playoffs. Points, rebounds, and assists. Y'all know there's only been a few people to do that. LeBron's done it 6 times. I'm just gonna put that out there. But Luka, 28.8 points per game. Kyrie Irving, 22.8 points per game, and P.J. Washington, 13.6 points per game. Those are their top 3 postseason scorers. Now, like I said, one of the main things that I really pointed out was that P.J. Washington trade deadline move that they made at the deadline. The Mavs squad got better with that trade, and they. I'm not going to say that trade particularly, obviously it made them a championship team, but at the time looking at it, to me, they didn't look like a championship team even after they made that trade. So for them to rise in the playoffs and do that is phenomenal and great. Credit to Jason Kidd, credit to Luka, credit to Kyrie and that Mavs team in general. A guy that I also wanted to point out that I really feel like was huge in that Minnesota series was Derrick Jones Jr. Everybody knows Derrick Jones for his high flying. He's a slam dunker. I mean, he's won a slam dunk contest. He's like I said, he's a high flyer. But for him to not really change his game, he's still athletic. He's using his athleticism very well in Dallas. But he's been shooting the ball really well. He's shooting at 39.6%. That's almost 40%. That's pretty good that's pretty good to shoot in the postseason, and that's been huge because he's been able to spread out the floor and give Luka, more driving lanes, and Kyrie more driving lanes. They've been able to open up the floor. And then I feel like these two guys do not get a lot of credit, and I have watched them, and they have played so well. And that's Daniel Gafford and Dereck Lively. Dereck Lively's just a rookie too. Let's not. We got to remember that. Both of these guys have been playing so well off of Luka Doncic and Kyrie Irving. They're so good in the pick and roll. They're a lob threat every time. I mean, you just seen it right there. They're a lob threat anytime. So, and they're both really underrated, I feel like, defensively. So I feel like, I feel like they might give Boston a couple of problems in that pick and roll. Boston may take it away. And now Porzingis being there for Boston helps that. But Porzingis can't back up, because if you got Kyrie Irving will shoot a little pull-up. Luka will shoot a little pull-up. So Porzingis has to make a decision there. So will Al Horford. And those guys, and I mean, Porzingis is 7'3", granted, but he's slow. Luka's slow too, but he's pretty quick at the same time. We saw what he did against Rudy Gobert every time he had Rudy Gobert in the pick and roll. So that's some more pointers. The Mavs keys that I have for them to win banner number 2, they won back in 2011. That was their only title in franchise history. So they're going for banner number 2 here. Defense. I'm going to say it one more time. What wins championships, guys? You can say it. Defense wins championships. So one of the main concerns for Dallas all year that I've had is their defense. Obviously, we all know Luka is not I'm not going to say he's a horrible defender, but he's not a great one. He's not that great. So I think that Luka, obviously, he's really improved his defensive play in these playoffs, and I feel like they really improved his defensive play in the Minnesota series. They knew in order for them to win a championship, Luka has to play better defense, and he has been. But I still feel like Boston is going to take advantage of him in the pick and roll. They're gonna make him work. And one of the things that I noticed is Luka uses defense to kind of get himself back up to make himself less tired. He usually uses the defensive end to rest, and you're not going to be able to rest on the defensive end with this Boston squad. They're going to make Luka work, they're going to beat him up, and they're going to tire him out. So when he gets back on offense, it's just he may be tired out. Luka may not be able to do some of the things that he did against Minnesota because he's having to work so hard on defense. Same thing for Kyrie Irving. So that leads me right into my next point is, like I said, I'm going to say the exact same thing that I said for Boston. You got your Batman, you got your Robin. Who's going to be your Alfreds? Thank you, JJ Redick. Again, I'm going to shout out JJ Redick, future Laker coach. Who's going to be your Alfred? Can guys like PJ Washington, Derrick Jones, Dereck Lively, Daniel Gafford, and these Mavs role players step up? Max Kleber, Dante Exum, Jalen Hardy, all those guys played extremely well in the Minnesota series. Can they keep that up in order for them to win this championship? Because at the end of the day, your stars are going to be your stars. Your stars are going to make plays. But at some point, there may be a game where Kyrie Irving isn't hitting everything that he's supposed to be hitting. So is P.J. Washington going to hit the things? P.J. Washington, in these playoffs, P.J. Washington is shooting a career high from 3 in these playoffs. So is Derrick Jones Jr. So can they keep that up in these playoffs? And I can't say that they will. I'm not saying that they won't, but at the end of the day, like I said, it's all about your Alfreds. It's all about who's going to make the plays when your star guys aren't making those plays. And then my third and final point for the Mavs to win banner number 2 is they got to control the pace. They finished 6th in the NBA in average pace. So basically just the speed of the game and everything. And we see that very well with Luka. When I watched that Minnesota Dallas series, Luka was controlling the pace of the game. And Luka is Luka plays very slow, but he gets to his spots. He gets to where he knows, okay, I can get a shot off right here. And if I don't, I know exactly who I'm going to throw it to, and they're going to be able to get an open look too. Luka is a very good playmaker. I don't think people understand how good of a playmaker he is. There's a difference between being a great assist man and being a playmaker. Luka can make plays happen all the time. He sees the floor very well. So that's why you need your guys like PJ Washington, Max Kleber, Dante Exum, Derrick Jones, Lively, Daniel Gafford, to really be able to make those shots, like, because they're going to get open shots. Luka's going to see them and get them in a spot to where they can get open. So he needs them to make those shots. And same thing for Kyrie Irving. I expect Kyrie Irving to be perfectly fine in this series, but, you know, you never know. So those are my keys for the Dallas Mavericks to win this championship, and that is the overview of both teams. I hope you guys enjoy that overview, and I hope you guys come up with opinions of your own. Please let me know what you guys think, and let me know how you guys feel about this series going into it. I hope you guys enjoy this video, and I will come back tomorrow and make my predictions for game by game. Thank you, and enjoy the rest of your day.